Good evening, everyone, and welcome to tonight's session. Hopefully, you all enjoy this and learn some stuff that you can take back to your clubs. So we're going to have two parts to this for tonight. So Satish will first go through the effective coaching path, go through a little bit of his experience on completing that, and then I'll be able to take a few questions on that. Hopefully, if you're thinking about doing this path and you haven't, Satish will convince you that it's a worthwhile one to think about and go through some of the projects on that path. Then afterward, we can do some brief questions and answers for Satish and his experience. And then after that, I am going to be giving a presentation on submitting educational awards for the pathway system. So let's welcome, without further ado, Satish, who will be talking about the effective coaching path this evening.
Thank you, Brian. Thank you very much. Let me share my screen. So when we start, you want to, so I am Satish Tripathi. I am the District 30 Division Director for Central North. I think 2.5 years back, I got introduced to Toastmasters, and effective coaching was the first path I took. At that time, traditional was discouraged, and I started with the new pathway, so I do not know much about the traditional path, and I started with effective coaching as my first path, and I completed it last year, and I can talk to you about it today. Anybody else? I just wanted to make sure what's your expectations or. Can you see my screen?
Yeah, we can.
Thank you. Okay, so effective coaching, like any path, we have 5 levels for the path. And I try to give a brief overview before I go down into the path. Level 1 is common for all across any path. Level 1 is common, and that is basically mastering the fundamentals, which includes icebreaker, evaluation and feedback, research and presenting, which is, I think, I've seen other paths, people doing that, it is common across all. Level 2 is when you start looking into slightly into your style, into the path. And in effective coaching, the level 2 is about your leadership style, your communication style, and mentoring. That is what the focus is on level 2. Level 3, we call it as increasing your knowledge in the path, and that is more geared towards how to reach consensus. Level 4, I see, it is more improvement through positive coaching. That is the focus on it. And level 5 is high performance leadership. And I try to give some more, there are few mandatory speeches if you are new to pathways. There are certain mandatory speeches like level 2, leadership style, communication style, mentoring. These are all mandatory speeches. But level 3, 4, and 5, there are elective speeches, which means you give mandatory and you have a list of 14 elective options, and you can choose any of the 2 which you like, which interests you. I picked up on the things which I was already working on. It was a lot of project related, so I picked my electives based on that. For level 4, we have 8 options. We have to pick one. And level 5, we have 5 options to pick one. In total, it takes 16 speeches to complete the level. Now, most of them are 5 to 7 minutes. Some are longer, 15 to 20 minutes. So any questions on this before we start looking into how the effective coaching? Okay, so I'll just go. Okay, so level 1, as I said, it is common for everybody. You have to start with an icebreaker and evaluation feedback. It's basically 2 speeches and an evaluation. No, sorry, a speech and an evaluation. Research and presenting is you take a research topic and present it. That is common for everything. It totally is 4 speeches and an evaluation. Level 2, this was very interesting, especially for an effective coaching, to try to understand what is your leadership style, what is your communication style, and mentoring. The way I did it for leadership style, I was looking into, I had to give it also, I had a evaluation contest and I was a target speaker for the division contest. And I took up this leadership style, and my speech was more towards, I looked at Steve Jobs. And he's an inspiration. And I tried to, from the publicly available information about him, I tried to decipher what is his leadership style. And you go through the pathways, it would talk you about, there is a quiz, and then it would tell you that based on these 8 types, this is your leadership style. So it told me about what my leadership style is, which I could not completely digest what it is. So I took and looked at Steve Jobs' leadership style, and I tried to decipher and present a speech on that. Communication style speech, this is very nice, but you learn a lot of how we communicate in different ways. This also is common in level 2. A lot of paths, not all of them, but quite a bit. But that was a very interesting for me to understand communication style. And here I looked at myself. I did a self-introspection and talked about what I feel, what Toastmasters gave me about my communication style. And mentoring, I have been in, I have a lot of good mentors, managers, so I looked at, and also I have worked with a lot of people, and I try to, we mentor in pathways as well, in Toastmasters as well. But I picked a topic about a person who coached me and mentored me about how to step up and do when you are presenting in front of a senior leadership team, because their time, we get a very short time and we have to communicate, deliver a lot of message in a short time. So you have to be crisp and clear. So I took a speech from him, how he mentored me to deliver a message and presentation in front of senior leaders, which was the CIO in my case. So any questions or any feedback, or if you have completed level 2?
So what did you learn was the most effective leadership style, Satish, from your research?
So there are 8 or 9 leadership styles, and I think there is authoritative. I don't recall all from top of my head. One is collaborative. And for me, I don't recall what it was, but I did not, with the survey, I did not believe that that is my leadership style. And that was the reason I took Steve Jobs' leadership style. And I tried to decipher Now, visionary was not his leader. It is not in one of the leadership styles. So my pitch was that I think he was a visionary. He could not see. He could see things which we could not see. But visionary was not. It was more innovative. So and he innovated a lot of things. So I put that he was innovative, but at the same time, he was authoritative because you have to be, and inspiring. He was inspiring a lot of people. So that is what I came up with. I don't know if I answered your question, but I don't recall all the 8 leadership styles. It's not in front of me.
What did the survey, just curious, out of curiosity, what did the survey say that you were? What was your leadership style that it told you you were?
I think it was more affiliative, if I remember correctly. I have to look into it. It told me affiliative, and I could not understand what does that mean actually when I took. Now I can understand it is more collaborating with everybody and taking everybody together with a more not a non-authoritative way. Okay. I'll go to the next level, which becomes now interesting because now from level 3, the mandatory speech was reaching consensus. And especially where we have a lot of diverse people. And I took a speech, from my experience where I was in a very difficult, so I come from an IT background and we are involved in a lot of projects. And some are 6 months, 1 year, and it when you launch a project and there are a lot of competing stakeholders, everybody wants their project to be selected, and it becomes at times very hot potato how to deal with that. And I had a lot of interesting experiences with getting a lot of different stakeholders to come together and agree to certain things and then start the project. So I took one of the speeches from there, and we had to take 14 out of 14 true elective speeches for level 3. And if you look into all those things, there were really very, very good electives. And I will show you, I took the storytelling. Let me go to the other one. Like active listening, inspire the audience. Now, I have been into management where I work, and I have been into a lot of management training and all. And a few of these electives are something which is the prime thing what they take you into management training to teach you how to improve your performance and inspire the other thing. And active listening is one of them. And I took that, and that was when I came to level 3, I realized that Toastmaster is more than giving a speech. It is basically building yourself, because a lot of things which we do here, which we have to do, is in advanced management training. That's what they tell you, they teach you. And I really liked. And when I was in level 3, at that time personally, I thought that, wow, this is not just standing in front of the audience and getting a courage to give a speech. It is more learning. And one thing I really liked about is storytelling, because there are a lot of complicated things, but if you have to explain it in a story, make some story and have your personal story along with that, that message sticks to everybody. So you just can't do for everything, but a lot of things you can kind of talk about that. And if you have to make sure you deliver a message and the message has to stick, this I really found very well. And I don't remember what was that. There is a one award-winning speech, one guy, he gave about storytelling. I forget his name. He was from Sri Lanka, and that was, I think, a cornerstone of storytelling, the way he talked about it. So I got inspired by his, and I took the storytelling and active listening. I was really inspired about how from the management training we took about 6 months, and this was one of them, and I took my own experience to give a speech on that.
Satish, did you use any presentation or you simply spoke for all the electives?
So one of the things which in the previous one, right, storytelling, and which I try to take is without any presentation, right? Presentation, and this is something which I was developing, right? That that was my goal. I made that my goal, that without a presentation or without any aid, if you have to stand up and deliver your speech and deliver a message. I did play with use of, prompts and all, but not presentation. So this was all, give a speech in front of everybody without any other aid. So that was my goal, to develop myself in that area.
That's really good without any aid. If you speak, I know this is more than 5 minutes, right? The level 3 speech. So that would be
I
great.
remember both were 5 to 7 minutes.
5 to 7 minutes, okay.
Yeah.
So
I was, yeah, go ahead, please. Barbara?
Oh, I'm sorry. I was just curious. What was one of the things that you really learned from this experience? What was one key, something that helped you out of doing this coaching? What's something that you learned you hadn't expected?
So active listening was something I did not expect here. And as I said, right, I was into some management training, and there was a big emphasis on that. So it solidified that portion. I really wanted to do more like effective body language. That is also, right, you are standing in front of. So I took active listening, but I really liked a lot of things, effective body language. I wanted to do more humor. So my next path is, engaging humor, because that is, it's not easy, right? And not everybody is born, that natural to engage in humor, right? At times I become very dry. And, coming from IT, we try to use a lot of technical languages. And, I have seen that, we lose audience. So that is the reason I was more interested in doing a storytelling and not using technical language. Even if I used something about my project, and if there is a technical language, then I made sure I give an explanation, because in my Toastmaster Club, there is a mix. Some are technical, some are not. So that was a good audience for me to practice upon. But, I think to answer your question, it solidified my knowledge, which I knew about active listening. Active listening, there is something called generous listening. There are a lot of other things with that, and and filters. It just solidified my knowledge about that. So I basically doubled down on it. And I personally did not expect Toastmasters to venture into all those things. That was not my expectation, but I was really pleasantly surprised. And after that, I started talking to anybody in my team that, man, I took such an expensive, company took me through that management training. You can also do it here. This is also the same thing, right? We are learning it.
So active listening, I'm a little confused. The speaker should listen, or you should make your audience to be the active listener?
So this speech is about, if I remember correctly, this is more than a year I done. This active listening was, I had to kind of host a table topic, and everybody, so anybody who is talking about it, you have to fully listen, right? 100% attention, listening with 100% attention is not an easy task, right? Your mind would wander off something, and that is what active listening teaches you, that if somebody is saying, don't be bothered about what your issues are, right? If you have to meet in 30 minutes, but if you do an active listening and generous listening, your conversation would be over in 10, 15 minutes. And then you get your time to do other things. But if you are not fully listening, then somebody is saying you are not listening, and that conversation goes nowhere, and you don't take things out of the conversation. So this speech was that I had to do a table topics and give a topic, listen to it, and then reply back to that person in a way that, this is what you meant, and kind of solidify on that to demonstrate that I did a complete listening.
Okay, great. Yeah. Active listening is not an easy job. Agreed.
Satish, have you noticed that between your effective coaching and your engaging humor path, I know that the electives are the same. Is the presentation the same, or is it making you come at it from a different angle? Have you noticed?
There is a lot of difference, Christine, with engaging humor, even the projects. And that is one of the reason especially level 2 was very different. There are some commonalities, but it is a lot different. And I have been till level 3, I have to still explore 4 and 5. I'm procrastinating on it. But till level 3, I think there are, I would say about 40% overlap.
Satish, I was just interested because I have difficulty with humor. I also have an IT background. And so for me, it's very hard, to get away, as you said, from the acronyms. How hard is it for someone that doesn't have really humor is not part of their makeup? Is it possible to learn this? Is it to do it well, or is it a pretty difficult task?
It is difficult, and I think like my next speech, what I have to do in level 4 in engaging humor. Now we are drifting to engaging humor, but it is that there are 5, 8 or 10 topics which I need to prepare upon giving a humorous speech, and then give that topics to the Toastmaster, and he will pick any 2 randomly, and I will have to then give on that, right? And you prepare something, a humorous thing, and in different audience, it is very different. So I can tell you, I gave a very good humorous speech on all the Toastmaster roles and all. And I mean, good means I felt good about it. It's not that the speech was good. So I gave it in one speech, my home club in Schaumburg, and it was very well received. And there was a lot of laughs. And then I took the same speech, I took the feedback, and I did the same in, I think Kanda knows about it, in his club in Chicago. It is all Motor Laugh, Chicago club. I mean, there was 0 laugh, and I was it was very hard, but I just maintained my composure and somehow completed it. Later, everybody said that it was very funny, but nobody was laughing or anything. So it was, I learned how to take that, right? Even if you're trying to do a humor and you don't get the laugh, how to carry on with that.
Especially, I know that comedians always have that problem. Something that they think is funny and they've tested on somebody else. It works with one audience, but it doesn't work with another. Or they may say, oh yeah, it was funny, but you're not seeing the evidence of it.
Exactly. And the only difference between those 2 clubs are, both are the company, corporate club, same company. One is an older club, which was president distinguished. So they have gone through all the contests and all, they knew about the roles. And this was a relatively new club. People did not know except a few. And then I think they did not get the Toastmaster jokes about being a timer or a counter, all those things.
You need to give me some tips, man. I'm a very poor humorous speaking person. I'm also following IT guy, and yeah, I'll take you offline and I'll get some tips from you.
Sure. I think one thing I definitely learned from effective coaching was especially how to unbundle the technical terms, right? If I have to talk about, like, I don't know which speech it was, maybe reaching consensus. I did a project on archiving a database. So we are moving from here to there. Now, it becomes too dry about archiving, and there's a lot of cost saving if you move from a high performance database to a low performance, because the cost is less. If you're not accessing it much, then you can just move away from the high performance. But then I basically took that, okay, you in your phone, and there is your phone memory is full, and then I try to make it relatable to something which a person can do, right? And we face that, okay, there are too many videos of pictures, so I have to delete it, right? Otherwise the performance would be impacted of your phone. So that is how you try to take a technical thing and find some examples and give that correlation. That's what I try to do. Okay, moving on to level 4. The first one was very good, right? Improvement through positive coaching. And I have been into both, I have got coached and also have done coaching of a lot of people in my company. So I did not, if you have not done through it, you have to take that. But I personally, since I had been there, so I took a lot of examples from that. So preparing the speech was not that difficult for me. It was like, okay, there is so much interaction, how I, people coaching me, how I got influenced by them. And so that was very good. Not that, especially for me, it was not that, lot hard for me. In electives, there are about 8 electives, and I have seen a lot of, like, one member did create a podcast, right, and then played it. That was her, it was very nice. Those are, I really liked. I wanted to do a blog one, but it would take a lot of time because you write a blog and then you have to wait for 3-4 weeks and respond to it. So it is not that you have to complete that 1.5 to 2 months of task before you can do a speech. But I had done a lot of blogs, like Kanda, you should know, before Bad Chat we had Converge, right, in Motorola, and that's what I have written a lot of Converge posts in the company blogs. But some of the things which was in that, it took a long lead time. So I did not do that. Otherwise, I could have taken a story from the blog. And it is really right. It is not that you just do it. There are certain things you have to complete a project and then you give a speech with your experiences. And you have done, Kanda, I remember, manage a difficult audience, right? This is also very interesting, right? You learn a lot how to do that. This is, so I have not done this, but I have participated in, I try to be difficult for multiple people after being asked upon. And that I think that is also very good learning, that, if there are difficult audience, how to manage that meeting and how to conduct your things over there.
So in this, this managing difficult audience, would you then tell your audience in your Toastmasters group, I want you guys to be difficult, I'm going to manage a difficult audience, I'm looking for you to give me a hard time? Is that how you're proposing to do that?
Yeah, that's what I think. Yeah, I took it. Then I asked Satish and one more person to be a little bit more difficult or distracting. So when I was giving the speech, Satish did a good job. He was kind of asking some questions or walking, and he totally ignored me. So I totally agree with Satish what he's mentioned, that it's not only improving your speech, you need to control your temper, and you should make sure that don't deviate yourself with this kind of disturbing audiences. Come back to your thought or your whatever you wanted to deliver. That really helped me. I mean, it's not only giving a speech, how to control and how to ignore those interrupting audience members.
So if you think about it, right, you evolve with that, right? You go through that experience, and this is I'll say a friendly turf, right? Everybody is there to help you. Not that I was after Kanda that I'm gonna teach you a lesson today. So giving him a platform so that he can get the feedback, and when you are in a stage, you feel that you feel the heat, and you learn from a friendly audience. So this is actually it is very enriching, right? If I am really planning that I have to complete my other level, so I'm in a rush to complete. But after that, I'll just go through that without even go through this, because these are really nice things to do. I did not do myself, but I really want to do it, and practice out different things, right?
It looks
Yeah, I would
interesting.
strongly recommend to do that one if anyone is in that level.
Yeah, like we don't have difficult audiences at work, right?
Yeah,
they're not all nice.
Exactly, and if you practice, then you would be better prepared to face it, right? So there are two options, right? You prepare for it, or you don't prepare for it. So I think it is always better to prepare for it. And what I ended up doing was picking a managed project successfully. But I have seen a lot of people doing this online question answer session. Question answer session. That was also that is also one way to do, right? Like if you have to do a press conference, right? You can manage a stage like that and do it. I think this one is very interesting now, manage online meetings, because now what, 3-4 months we are doing all online meetings, right? So we are now a pro. So maybe this is already in build. You can always give this speech. Now I can give this speech anytime.
Either that or we're doing it all wrong. We just don't know it.
Yes. And in level 5, it is about high performance leadership. What I did is, if you are hosting a contest, right? So if you are a contest chair, then this speech about is, you give a speech about this project that you are doing a contest. What are you going to do? Talk about your experience, and after you complete it, complete the contest, then give your experiences, what went right, what went wrong. So I used, I was an area director at that time, so I completed, I think it was before that, sorry, I don't know. But, I did, if you are a contest chair for a contest, managing a contest is also a very challenging task. And I remember I don't recall what I was, but I think that's what I do. And then there is an elective project. And after that, the last speech is about 12 to 15 minutes, is reflecting about your journey on the path. And that is the last speech for a path. And let's look at the elective paths. Yes, I took the lessons learned. And what I did is, I was at that time going through a project, and there were a lot of things which were not very right. And this is like doing a 360-degree review and asks the lesson, right? So I actually did in my project, I met everybody and we did a 360-degree review of what things went well, what can be improved, and from that I took this speech. But in order to do that, it helped me in my project, because I opened up the 360-degree review, and I really like that concept of having a 360-degree review, even of a project level, that if you are in a project, things are not going well, this review with everybody involved in the project really helped and opened up every was kind of blocked to take that direction and complete the project. This is all about my journey, right? But I have seen people doing a moderator panel discussion. That is also very good. I have watched that, but I have never done that. I don't know.
This one, participating in the contest is a prerequisite, Satish?
No, you can do anything, right? For high performance, if you are any project you have to do, right? So there are two things what you need to do. You have to give a speech before you do your project, right? That this is how you are planning to do it. These are the challenges, and this is how I'll address it. And after you complete it, then you give a speech back that this is what I did, but this is what actually happened. And this is my lessons learned from that. So that is the high performance leadership.
Okay, got it.
Since I was hosting a contest, that is also its event, right? Or if you are using some other, like, you are hosting something, you can kind of use that.
Mm-hmm.
Or some short project. I mean, it is not something like a 6-month project, doesn't apply for that. It is a really, visible, like a 1-week workshop, or, if you're hosting a hackathon.
You're right.
Right. So for those kind of events, you can use that in your schools.
Yeah. So what is the one takeaway from the whole path? If you say like, hey, the whole effective coaching, this is the one thing I really got it from the whole path.
Yeah, I think effective coaching emphasizes a lot about mentoring and coaching. How to get everybody on the same page, there is a subtle difference between coaching and mentoring. Coaching is more short-term, mentoring is really long-term. And this more focuses on the short term, that you have to get from point A to point B. How do you work, empower the people who are helping you, in sense, empower them so that they feel empowered and they feel they are contributing, and that overall leads to a completion of a good project, and also development of the individual, both ways. So it's a win-win thing, right? It is just not it's not that do what I say, right? It's like it sometimes take time people to get it, but I think in the long run it helps everybody.
Okay.
So that is all I had today.
Great.
Thank you so much.
Took from the Toastmasters International website. So I'm going to be walking you through that way. And then after I go through this, in the chat, I will share this presentation as well, so you can all have a copy of it. So first, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to log in to the Toastmasters International website. Hopefully, you've all done this before when you go into Pathways for yourself. But if you haven't, you would just go to log in. That would be up towards the top, and then just enter in your username and password. Then on the screen that pops up when you log in, you want to click Pathways, and then go to where it says go to Basecamp. So then that will take you to the main Basecamp screen. So now here's where it might look a little bit different depending on if you are in more than one club and what your situation is. So for me, as of right now, the club that it has selected is Peak Speak, which I am a Basecamp manager in. I'm the secretary of that club right now. So for those of you who don't know, a vice president of education, president, and secretary are Basecamp managers. So if they select a club that they are one of those roles in, the option to log in as Basecamp manager will be there. Otherwise, they will not have that. So if I were to select my other club on the pull down, which is Toastmasters on Purpose, that login as Basecamp manager would not be available to me. So then after you click in the login as Basecamp manager, you are going to get to this go to pending request, or you're going to get to this screen here. If you go to pending request, then you will see requests that were submitted. Once a member does submit a request, so once they say that they completed a level, then an email does get sent to the, I believe it's the address that the club has on file, and it'll say that a member submitted the award request, and so then that's when it would notify you to go here to check it. Unfortunately for my club right now, there are no pending requests in the system, but what would happen is you would have this option right here, so you can see who requested it, the date and everything on there. So then you could click the one that was submitted and then either approve or deny that. So for whatever you use for your validation, whether it be going back through the agendas just to confirm all the speeches were done, just check their evaluations, whatever you do specifically at your club to confirm those awards, you would do at that point. So then you can either approve it if everything's all good, or if, say, they hit submit accidentally when they didn't intend to, at that point, then you could just deny it, and then they would be notified of that as well. But let's say that you did go ahead and approve it. Are we done yet? The answer is no. We did submit it within the Basecamp system, but we also need to ensure that we have that submitted within Club Central. So as it goes for that, what you can do is I circled the little gear on the screen. If you click that, you have the option to log out of the Basecamp system. So then what that will do is allow you to go back to this screen, and you can select Leadership Central. And then you would go to Club Central. Since you are already an officer in your club and you're one of the officers that is a Basecamp manager, you'll be able to have access to Club Central for those clubs for which you are an officer. And in Club Central, maybe you've seen this before, or if you're a first-time officer, maybe you hadn't, but this is where a lot of club business can be done. So if you're, say, treasurer, you can go to submit payment. Submit the payment when dues come due. They have club officer assignment. So at the beginning of the year, that's when you can submit the new officers for the next year to make sure you get that DCP point. But today, the one that we want to look at is the Submit Educational Award option. So for this, you would click on the Submit Educational Award option, and then you would pull down the member that you're submitting the award for. And what actually makes it great for this one is when you go there, for instance, I just have one member in particular selected here. If you notice that the only level award on there is the Innovative Planning Level 3. So for that, it only has the ones that they're eligible to be submitted for. It does still have the Advanced Leader Silver, the Pathways Mentor, and Online Innovative Planning. But for those of you who might have been Vice Presidents of Education in the past, the list is a lot smaller than it is. So you only see a few awards there that they are eligible to get at this time. So if we did submit that one, and I didn't actually have any screen prints showing the submission of that because I didn't want to accidentally submit one for someone who didn't earn one yet. But you would select the online innovative planning one, to go through the process to have that submitted. And that's really all I have for the how to submit the educational awards. I think the